Welcome back to the Quest for Treasure on the Quest for Details channel. We are going to check out another house site, and my first clue to this one that I've been going by for years and years and years was hold the Garrett up here. This corral. Now it's old-fashioned looking, and then I spotted it years ago because it's literally grown through these blue oaks. And so that takes a little while. These trees don't look big, but they're very slow growing tree. Got milk, but not soldered. And these have actually grown through them. You can see here's a cool detail. Here's upper hinge and lower hinge where they're using these two as a little gate. And then if you look at the style of barbed wire, I'm not a pro, but I have seen these in order collections, and so it's the two hooks bent through, so somebody will probably know the name. And so we got basically three types is what I'm looking at here. There's this one with the loop-de-loos in it. Behind it is this one with less. I've always kind of been fascinated by barbed wire because it did so much historical change from the Midwest to the West. It's really part of what allowed all the... See, this might be loop-to-loop gone loose, who knows. And then there's this upper one. See how small that is? There's my thumbnail. So that's a teeny tiny little one, but a single piece wrapped around instead of two pieces, making the whole thing up. So you can tell that this is older, it's thicker gauge. By older I mean this whole thing is probably older. So pretty crude little corral. It just goes right around here, but maybe just for the horses to hook up to go to town every day. And this is a fork in the there's a main river here that led out to bigger valleys, and then a fork here where this creek comes down that runs from all these other valleys this way. So it's a connection point. And then out here was a historic town, and on this side was an ish town from earlier on, just meaning that it was kind of a town, you know, a clustering of houses because they were on a good spot with the roads coming through and all that. So it did have a bar. And then the burl there, that doesn't look like much, but underneath there is a big old swirl. So another note, one last note, not to jump around too much, but these blue oaks are the only oak tree that I've heard of, that I know of, where you don't have to worry about the tannic acid so much. It's said that you can basically eat the acorns off of this without having to blanch them out at all, without having to put in water and grind them up. The way that you test acorns, I've actually been taught a little bit. I took a one-day class, and what she was explaining is taste is the best way to do it. So most acorns, if you grind them up, they're extremely bitter. As you're sitting there doing the process, whatever process you use in your own individual techniques, when you're done tasting it, it doesn't taste bitter anymore. It means that the acid is gone. So the acid is the bitter taste. It's a tannic acid. And these blue oaks, I guess, are so light in it that at the right trees and the right seasons, you just take the acorns and eat it. And if you look out here, in this region, we're really blessed. In a lot of California, they're rare, or they don't exist at all. And for some reason, where I am, it's 90% blue oaks is what's left standing. I think that the cows and the ranchers have a lot to do with that, because cows, for some reason, oaks make it up through them, and a lot of the other trees don't. So you end up with that California look of the Spanish grasses mixed. There was native grasses, but these are what you're seeing is 99% Spanish grasses introduced by the different peoples that have cultivated the land, and they were overbearing on the native grasses. Their native grasses are basically endangered and or gone. So this golden look is all non-natural grasses, and then the oak trees standing alone is generally from land clearing, the original timber barons coming through, then land clearing, then ranches put on it, and the oaks make it through, so you get the big oaks standing. And these are big for blue oaks. I don't know if you can tell, but they're more like a Quercus oak, so they grow with shorter little segments. They have less water, so instead of growing a foot every year and then twisting and bending and forking, these things grow like a half an inch sometimes if it's a dry year. Their rings are really tight. So this old barbed wire and the things growing through it, you know, this could put it back pretty far. I see that the road comes down. I just thought that was interesting because these could be like one of the answers in the world. You know, this is a tree that drops 2 garbage cans of bread. Basically it drops flour all over the ground, and you can grow forests of them in really sparse stuff. Things to think about. Now, all the roads out here have different wear on them, and there's a lot of them. You can see them forking off for different use. But this one just screams out. It's right next to the pasture, and you can see the ledging. You know, it's a well-used road is what I'm saying, and the ones that fork off of it look more like modern, just shortcuts that people are taking. And we can follow it all the way down here, and there's a natural point that's left where this creek comes together and this river comes down, and it's flat. And I already poked around and found a little fireplace sticking out of the bank where the bank is eroded back to the edge of the house site. So as we come down here, you can see the driveway. There's actually cobble repairs and stuff I recognize, and it's just the biggest rutted path. Leads right out to the point. And if you look at terrain, this is all actually about like that. So you can prop up the front of a little cabin on that. But if you have a flat area like that down there, see the flatness, then that's likely. So I walked out there, and on the edge of that was a fireplace cobbled together sticking out. So we can go look at that. And yeah, I mean, perfect spot, right? One river. And I've been out here. There's actually, this is the biggest cobble collection, large rock collection, sticking out. There's a canyon right up here, and then deeper, finer stuff. And so this is where you have bedrock. See the bedrock down here? And then, so that's the bottom of the river. Gold and precious things can't go any lower. And then over here you have the cobble field. And if you look in the background, that's a cobble pile. So that's a tailings pile, and there's about 6 of them out there. Some are lost in the field where the river's reburied them. But they have like half a foot, like 8-inch to 12-inch lichens growing in between those boulders that make up that cobble pile. So what I deduced was that a long time ago that was piled there, long enough for the lichens to grow. So they stripped this beach out when they were gold mining. And so there's camp, town, all kinds of things going on. Here's what I'm saying. Creek coming down right here, and then this perfect packed flat spot. And that's where the road goes to. And the pasture is right out there, the little corral for keeping the town horses. And I walked over here, and on the edge of this, where it's probably eroded back, because this is a pretty ripping creek, it takes all the valley, 3 smaller valleys up above, and condenses them down in tributaries and runs them out here. So, but sticking up, I probably shouldn't have pulled it out before I filmed it, was this, sticking out of these rocks, which are actually cemented together. Now don't let concrete and cement turn you off, because people have been making that since Rome. So especially out here, a creek that is just out of sight is actually called Cement Creek. It runs down, and it literally concretes its rocks together every year with the amount of lime and stuff that's coming down in it. But you can see these are pieces of the stove. There's its hinge points, if you can spot them, one there and one down below. So that was a door, and for some reason it was that low, so I don't know if it was an already broken piece that they were using for strength, or somehow a stove sat in here. But you can see this goes down the bank a little bit, and it's cemented together, and the flat spot is right here. It's literally a point. So we're going to detect out here and see if I'm leading up to anything, because I honestly haven't yet. So, could be total skunkage with all this babble. But we shall see. Probably relic hunting today. So we know that this big old blue oak and this big old blue oak were probably here, but this digger probably wasn't. This is a pine. That probably only took 30 years to grow at the most. So they grow really fast. Okay, first target was like that deep, and that's what it is, a little 22 or something. But aged copper, almost not there anymore. That explains the weird little signal. And is our next little thing. Any idea what it is? As we pull it out, it's making a great noise. It's got a little old fracture in it. Let me. Huh. That appears to be brass. Turn that in a little bit. Any ideas, let me know. Pretty cool. We'll take that. I'm right over here by the edge now. I decided to move more out of the parking area where there was modern garbage, because you could pull up a car. We're kind of hugging around the little fireplace, and that's what this was. So, this next one's over here in the tall grass. The numbers it's giving me are jumping all over. I think there's other things by it, but I was getting some 70s to 80s. There it is. Oh, so we're going to dig it up because it's right next to where the other weird little thing was, and right by the chimney. This has some sounds coming out of it. So we will peruse through the pile and see what we've brought up. Still something down there too. What are you, do we think? Did I get something out of there too? It's so hard to work like that. No, I was just near the shovel. How about you? You made a beep. You made me pull it out. Okay. We're definitely getting something out of here. It is so dry that, and so much fire danger that I'm just putting these plugs back in and leaving the dead grass flat, because we have to weed whack out here and everything anyway, so. Oh, that's what you get. It's a good signal because it's a really old pop top. Okay, well, we'll figure out what this deeper thing is too. It's down there. That's a good sign. You want to just stay? You can stay. You're my friend. Let's see. Ooh, that's nice. It was a little bit muggy. I went from a 100-degree day to clouds, because it's California. They can get inland to us. And but now the wind is moving. I think we moved this. I think we're moving everything. Oh, well, unfortunately I wasn't discriminating. I was using the pinpointer. That could be what that was. And it's way down there because of the layers of grass dying every year and the leaves falling on it. So, our target area could very well be at 8 inches. At 8 inches. Now this is saying there's more. Where, in here? Yes. Oh, it's another nail. Okay, but bits and parts of something. Probably the structure. Okay, moving on to the next high tone, and we'll see you there. It's led me back to here, and I'm thinking that this is just a dump site. See more fence attached to the tree, but Everything looks more modern than we would want to be hunting. The ground is absolutely full of signals, but yeah, it's pop tops, but not ancient or anything. Now you could dig down here and see if there's older stuff. We're not going to today. There's a General Electric stove or dishwasher or something. So it looks like a 50s garbage dump. Okay, here's our, I moved down from there to some shorter ground. We just had a lot of people here and they're beating down the ground, and could be current drops and stuff. The water level where I'm at is holding high, so I can't get down in there unless I want to go swimming. I'm not doing that today, but I think, no, 89. Just had some weird glint of silver to it, and I was like, oh, okay, moving on. Penny, 68. Okay, that makes me happier. Okay, here's our little cleanup. We're getting home. We're back in the garage. Had to bring you here because it got late. Just a real quick one here. So here's our garbage target. Big old pile of junk. Here's our bullet targets. And our lead. There's actually a whole one today. And set of keys. Looks like probably off a watercraft. Stainless steel pin, a double-ended big old heavy brass thing. Looks like a little piece of a buckle. Here's our quarters. It's a full row of clad quarters. And here's our row of not real pennies. All zincs. Here's our row of real pennies. Here's our row of dimes, so 25 cents US, 1 cent US, modern, older, 1 cent, 10 cents, dimes. Here's our little cap from the first site. Don't know what that is, but it's like a bronze or a copper. Little thin lid, it's got some dents in it. My camera died and I didn't have my energy or time to charge, so I just kept on hunting. So this is some sort of metal button, obviously not too old but not too new either. It would be plastic. Here is our find of the day. So we got a 1945 D 1 cent wheat penny. So older US 1 cent. This is whoever number 10 was that year. I found your key. Number 10, we found your key. Looks like a charm. Looks like a little lead stick-em-on square from a wood car or something where you need to add weight. Shell that should be over there. But yeah, wheat penny for the collection, leave it for the kids, and then all of that to go in the pile of found coins to be spent on sodas when needed. Okay, we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me.